Look what I've got for you today. It's the all-new Aventon Aventure 2. This is the step-through model. This is also available in a step-over. It has a few new features that I think are pretty impressive for a bike that retails at $18.99. If, that is, they work as advertised. So I'm gonna ride this bike, yes, me, and find out. Now, buried right here behind this crank is the number one thing I wanna talk about. There is a torque sensor installed into the bottom bracket. Very much like the torque sensor we use on the Area 13 Blackbird. I've put out videos about torque sensors versus cadence sensors before, and this isn't to really go into the depths of that, but I just want to give you a quick overview on what the difference is and why that is important for this particular bike. Because it's not often you see a torque sensor on anything under $2,000, for one. It's also not often you see a torque sensor on a hub motor bike. So basically you have two types of pedal assist. I'm gonna turn the pedals backwards for this demonstration. Just note that this only works while they're actually going forwards and you're on the bike, but I can't pedal and explain this at the same time. So if the pedals are moving, just use your imagination here for a moment. A cadence sensor detects movement of the crank and then tells the motor controller, hey, you want to go, and propels you forward. Depending on the assist level you have the bike set at, gives you a certain amount of power or gets you to a certain speed. It's very simple, it's a very cheap part to produce, so it makes e-bikes affordable, which is great. Now, torque sensor, on the other hand, is detecting how hard you're pushing on the cranks. So if you are pedaling lightly, the bike will respond with a little bit of power, and if you pedal harder and you're really putting in some work, then the motor is going to give you even more power. And it's a very smooth transition. It feels very natural. Usually when people try it, they really like it. So it's awesome that we're seeing that on more affordable bikes. Now, of course, the real question is, how well does it actually work on something like this? And that's why we have a nice long stretch of road to test it out on flat ground. We'll also take it up to some really steep hills and see how it does there. I apologize for not having the front fender installed. It does in fact come with front and rear fenders. It comes with the rear rack, which is a really nice looking clean design. This is a 750 watt motor, which is rated for a peak power well over 1,000 watts. I'll also confirm if that is still the case and this thing still has the oomph and the power that I remember when I tested the very first Aventon Aventure. They still come in really nice, cool colors. I've got the blue here. I actually have some of the black ones in stock here in Grass Valley as well. So if you want to pick one of these up right away, just know that we have them. They were always good at making very nice, clean, well-integrated bike frames. One of the things that's integrated into the side here, of course, is the battery. This is still the 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery. I did see, however, that they wanted to address the fact that many people want longer range. They don't have a bigger battery, but they are currently running a promotion, $200 off any extra batteries. We've got Tektro hydraulic disc brakes with 180 millimeter rotors. Of course, 4-inch fat tires. And speaking of nice, clean integrations, they've added one more thing for anybody who's riding on the road, commuters, that I think is pretty slick. Now, they've always had these functional brake lights integrated into the frame. So as I pull the brake lever up here, you're getting the brake light working back here. But on top of that, check this out. Yes, this bike even now comes with turn signals integrated into the bike. Now, if I have one criticism about it, it's that if you're off to one side or the other, you can't actually see the other signal. They probably would be better positioned somewhere else, but they look really clean. These are the buttons right here for the existing display. You've got your pedal assist up and down. You've got the power button in the middle, and that's your turn signal button right there. So it's all integrated into one button pad, which I find really nice. I don't actually know how the turn signals cancel. We're gonna find out. We're just gonna stand here and watch it blink and see what happens. Okay, perfect. So it just flashes for about 20 seconds or so, I'd have to count exactly, and turns itself off. I think that's great. So you just push the button once. Oh, and awesome. I didn't even see this at first. It's actually showing the turn signal on the screen right here, so you know if you pushed one of them. And it looks like if you push it on accident, you just push the button again to cancel it. Yeah, we have left and right. That is super cool. Good job, Aventon. I really like that addition. It's simple, but I think as time goes on, we're only going to see more and more bikes with that. Of course, the bike also has a throttle. Even though we've got that really nice torque sensing pedal assist down here, we don't have to pedal if we don't want to. We can just hit the throttle and go. Now the bike does have a top speed of 28 miles an hour. Previous versions, it was limited to 20 miles an hour out of the box, and you had to download an app that would connect to the bike to turn it up to 28. I'm assuming that hasn't changed. It's running an 8-speed Shimano Altis. Usually kind of entry-level bikes, you're seeing a 7-speed. So when it comes to the little details, I do feel like Aventon is trying to take things up a notch and make things just a little bit better than what most companies offer. And it kind of just goes across the board. They've got a motor that delivers more than 750 watts nominal. They've added the torque sensor, they've added the turn signals. This to me is a good, just all around, can do a little bit of everything. Is it a great mountain bike? No. But can it go on some mountain bike trails? Some light trails at slow speeds? Yes. Is it a great street road bike? There's probably some better road bikes, but this can go on the road and go literally everywhere. So I really like this class of bike. There is a reason we see so many fat bikes on the market, is they're just a lot of fun to ride. Speaking of which, that's what we got to do next. Test out the torque sensor, test out the speed, take this thing up and down some hills and see if it really performs, see if this system has really taken this bike to the next level, like I'm hoping that it has. There's going to be at least one person that asks how much weight the rear rack can hold. 55 pounds. And yes, it does have a front headlight still. I haven't even pulled the sticker thing off. It's daytime out. It's probably going to be hard to tell how bright it really is, but in my opinion, they're fairly decent. All right, nice low step through. The display is in color. It shows our battery amount. It shows a percentage on the screen. We've got miles per hour. We've got an odometer. I bet if we press this middle button, yeah, we've got average speed, max speed. I have no idea how they calculate this, but it says some CO2 reduced. So how much you're helping save the planet.
If you want to save the planet, drive fast.
And also some trees saved. Apparently I need to ride this bike some more because we haven't even saved a full tree yet. As far as the assist levels, you have off, so you're just pedaling on your own. We have Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo. Get that kickstand up. All right, this is fairly flat, maybe just a very mild uphill. I'm in the lowest gear. I think you guys know that I don't have a ton of strength yet, but I'm making a lot of improvement. Thank you to everybody who's been asking about my health or offering suggestions. I am finding something that is working extremely well and have made significant progress in the last 40 plus days. If I make a video about that specifically, I will put a link in the description. If there's not a link, then I haven't made it yet. All right, this is getting a little tough for me. Let's go to assist 1. Eco mode. Oh yeah, so much easier. Okay, so normally with a cadence sensor, you could pedal a little softer, a little harder, and the bike doesn't really know, it's just kind of go at a constant speed. One thing I've found is it takes sometimes people a little getting used to with a torque sensor is the fact that if your pedaling rhythm is not smooth, the bike could feel a little jumpy, like it's going faster, going slower. But that's naturally what would happen. There was a guy with a bunch of bikes on the back of his car. That's what would happen on your own if you were pedaling. So it kind of trains you a little bit to have a smoother, more regular pedaling cadence. I'm gonna pedal a little harder. Oh no. That was a close one. I almost scratched up my camera lenses. Okay, let's try that again. You can see as I pedal faster, harder, the bike really takes off. Okay, so the speed limit out of the box confirmed is set to 20 miles an hour. I got up to 20 surprisingly easy. So if you really put in the effort, you can get up to speed no problem at all. That was only on, oh, I must have bumped the settings. I'm actually on the tour setting. Let me try that again on eco. Okay, not quite as aggressive, but still picks up speed really good. Motor definitely has 750 watts plus. I think they said like 1100 something watt peak power, and I believe it. That seems realistic. Now I can only do that so many times, so let's try the throttle. Just gonna push the button and go. Cruising along at 20 miles an hour like it's nothing. Stop time. Practice my balance, something I haven't always had lately. Nice. It's all coming back to me. Ooh, I got a right turn coming up. Let's use a turn signal. Aren't I fancy? Okay, so I'm going up a slight hill. You got 2 options on any e-bike. You can shift down and slow down a little bit. That's gonna conserve your battery power and use your own power. Or we can turn the pedal assist up. So I'm gonna turn this up to tour. Gives me a little more pep. Let's try sport. There we go, that's a little better for me. Haven't cranked it all the way up to turbo yet. Now for those that don't know, the Aventon bikes are a fairly upright, comfortable bike. They're not in an aggressive, leaned over mountain bike position. I feel like the distance from the cranks, the saddle, up to the handlebars is fairly short. Although the stem is not adjustable out of the box, you'd have to buy one and swap that out. They're a pretty comfortable bike. This is the large size. The sizing on the step-through models, they now call it large, or the smaller frame is a regular. I believe if you go to the step over, they still have small, medium, and large. Okay, now we're getting to a steeper hill. Let's crank it up to turbo mode. There we go. I'm feeling the burn up that hill. I'm getting a workout and downhill. It's a good time to test out the brakes. So I just got up to just shy of 30 miles an hour. Let's hit the brakes. No problem. Brakes are working good. I still have not saved more than 0.2 of a tree. Apparently, I am not pedaling enough. Here's the steepest hill in my neighborhood. I'm gonna try and go up this in number 1 on my gears. I am in turbo on the assist. Not press the throttle and see if I have the strength to do it. Because remember, this is a torque sensor. If I want to get all the power the bike has, I gotta put in some effort. And this is tough. But that's why we have a throttle. This is too much for me with the torque sensor. I can't pedal that hard. Push the throttle and go. It has enough power. It can make it up the hill even if I'm not pedaling at all. This bike has enough torque that it's gonna be pretty rare. I think it's gonna be pretty rare that you ever come across a hill that this bike could not make it up. If you just have some insane terrain that you go up and down, yes, a mid-drive could perform possibly better, but this bike has so much torque, I don't think it's really that much of a concern. It's got enough power. This is really gonna get you just about everywhere you need to go. Whoa. Feeling pretty good so far. So at 13, 14, 15 miles an hour, feels nice and stable. I think the initial wobble was probably just me. So there you go, hands-off riding. Don't worry, I got my helmet on. I'm glad that I have all of these electric bikes to test out and to ride to kind of get me back into physical shape. It's really not about exercise for me, unfortunately. Some other changes had to happen first, or exercise would actually just make me worse. But now that I've kind of figured out how to solve the initial autoimmune issues that I was having, now I can slowly start working my muscles and things, and it has been really weird, basically being completely inactive for a year straight. If this bike didn't have a throttle, it's realistically not something I would be able to ride very far. I could maybe go up and down the driveway a couple of times, and that would be it. So for me, having a throttle is just critical. Most of the bikes I sell have a throttle. It's really hard to think of anything that the Aventon Aventure 2 doesn't have. I mean, it's just a pretty good all-around bike. It's comfortable. The geometry is fairly upright. It's got fat tires. You've got a front suspension fork. The components are all a very good compromise, I think, between function, price, quality. There's nothing I would say that is low quality on these bikes. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, the hydraulic brakes used to be something different on these bikes. I hope they stick with Tektro, because I think even though these are like the entry-level Tektro brakes, I think these are a little bit better than what was on the Aventon bikes previously. I think to wrap this up, it looks like the weather's getting nice. Springtime is here. If you are on the fence about buying an electric bike, definitely check out the Aventon. We have them at area13ebikes.com. You can come pick them up from us in Grass Valley, California. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for similar bikes, definitely go check out this video right here.